Mark walked through the mountains of Cinnabar Island, Charlie and Ray sitting on his shoulders. He smiled at them. "You girls were incredible yesterday," he said, referring to the battle against Nastina and the poachers. "I know we'll win our 4th badge together." Up ahead, Mark spotted Blaine standing on a high rock, looking out over the island. Poliwag was by his side. Mark smirked. "I knew I'd find you here."
I come here to think a lot.
"Are you okay with what I did? Putting your dream on the line. It's just... my brothers always tried to control me. Maven always said I needed to be tougher, and Malcolm said I needed to be smarter. The way Scorcher was treating you... it felt personal to me. Like I was that weak kid again. The weak triplet."
I'm grateful, Mark. If my grandpa Blaine was still alive, he'd have done the same thing for me.
He looked down at Poliwag.
But I'm not worried. I saw your Pokemon's strength against Nastina and those poachers.
Mark grinned, but Blaine's expression turned serious.
Scorch is no joke. She's strong, and she's making it a 4-on-4 battle.
He warned. Mark nodded. "I need to figure out my other 2 Pokemon." Blaine smirked.
Just don't go catching Poliwag.
The two laughed as they both turned to the beautiful view of Cinnabar Island. At the beach, Rachel and Anthony trained their newly hatched Pokemon with Scorcha and Flareon. Anthony's Growlithe wanted to play instead of training, and Anthony didn't push it. Rachel had a tougher time. Her Vulpix ignored every command. The tension between them only worsened when it got into another brawl with Eevee. Scorcha chuckled.
You two have your hands full.
She glanced at her Rotom phone.
I gotta get the gym ready for Mark's challenge. Good luck.
After she left, Rachel approached Anthony, who was now staring at the ocean.
I know you hate Darius.
Anthony tensed. Rachel continued.
Is it because you were attacked by a Persian when you were a kid?
Anthony didn't respond. Rachel pressed.
That's part of it, isn't it?
Anthony exhaled. "Yeah, but it's more than that." His voice was strained, like he was dragging up memories he didn't want to revisit. "I hate Persian and Meowth because of Team Rocket. And because..." He hesitated, his throat tightening. "A Persian was one of the Pokemon that killed your father, Stephen Stone." Rachel's expression darkened. Anthony continued. "I guess... part of me doesn't get why you don't hate them too." Rachel's eyes flashed with irritation.
So you're saying I should hate all Meowth and Persian?
Anthony opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated.
Not all Pokemon of the same species are the same, Anthony. They don't all have the same heart and mind. Most Pokemon do what their trainers tell them. That Persian wasn't evil. Giovanni was. And if we're going by your logic, then Giovanni's Nidoking and Nidoqueen were also among the Pokemon who killed my dad. But guess what? We both have their pre-evolved forms.
Anthony's breath hitched. Rachel pressed on.
You treat your Nidorino with love. You even caught him so he could stay with Nidorina. So why do you hate Darius? What makes him so different?
Anthony's mouth opened, but no words came out. Rachel stared at him, her voice quieter but still firm.
You can't even explain it, can you?
Anthony looked away. He wanted to argue back, to push away the uncomfortable truth, but Rachel's words had hit too deep. Rachel took a deep breath and softened her tone.
I overcame my fear of poison types, Anthony. I caught 2, and one of them is Nidorina, the pre-evolved form of a Pokemon that was used to kill my dad.
Her voice lowered, but it carried a heavy weight.
If I can overcome that, then you can overcome this. Because if you don't, you're going to lose Mark.
Anthony flinched.
Mark loves his Pokemon more than anything. If he ever realizes how much you resent Darius, it's only going to hurt him.
Anthony remained silent. The truth of Rachel's words pressed down on him like a weight he wasn't ready to carry. But deep down, he knew she was right. Mark walked onto the beach, his sudden arrival startling Anthony and Rachel. Another fight broke out between Vulpix and Eevee. Before any trainer could react, Charlie and Ray jumped in. Charlie pushed Vulpix back with a firm stance, while Ray zapped a tiny shock between the two to separate them. The Pokemon growled, but reluctantly backed away. Rachel groaned. She didn't know what to do with Vulpix, stating that she had always wanted to catch one, but now the one she has doesn't respect her, which is causing Evie to be upset. Anthony then turned to Mark. "You ready for your gym battle?" Mark hesitated. His expression was tense. He took a deep breath. "There's something on my mind, and I need you to both keep it a secret. Before the SS Anne sank, I saw it." Anthony frowned. "Saw what?" "The armored Pokemon the news is talking about." Anthony's eyes widened. "The one they think is Mewtwo?" Mark shook his head. It wasn't Mewtwo." He looked up, eyes dark with memories. "I saw it battle Tapu Koko in the sky, and it killed it." Rachel gasped, and Anthony stiffened. "Tapu Koko is gone?" Mark nodded grimly, "and after it won, it retreated to a spaceship."
Alola needs to know.
"There's more," Mark said. "I was approached by Looker from the International Police. He told me what that thing actually is." Anthony and Rachel leaned in. "It's called Mew-Z," Mark said. "It was created from the DNA of Mew, Mewtwo, and Zygarde." Anthony's eyes widened in horror. "Zygarde too?" Mark nodded. "The blueprints were designed by Giovanni, but they were stolen. Looker thinks Giovanni's allies used them to create this thing. Then those are the guys who kidnapped Ash." Mark met his gaze. "I think so." Anthony's face twisted with anger. "This is all Giovanni's fault." "Maybe, but Looker also told me something else." He paused. "Giovanni is in a coma." Anthony frowned. "A coma?" "He had no health issues, no warning, he just collapsed while he was about to tell Looker something important." Mark's eyes darkened. "I think Mew-Z is behind it. Mew-Z is the real leader of this new group." Anthony swallowed hard. "And what does it want?" Mark's gaze hardened. "To take over the world." He turned to see Charlie and Ray, their eager expressions snapping him out of his thoughts. Their excitement was contagious, and Mark smiled. "You girls are right," he said. "It's time to focus. We've got a gym battle to win." Rachel and Anthony nodded, and together, the trio set off towards Cinnabar's Volcano Mountain, where the Cinnabar gym awaited. After a long and exhausting hike, they finally reached a massive cave entrance carved into a rocky mountainside. Standing at the entrance, Blaine laughed.
"You guys hiked all the way here? Why didn't you just get a Pidgeot taxi?"
Mark, Rachel, and Anthony groaned in unison as the realization hit them. Blaine smirked as he stepped towards Mark.
"I'm honored you're doing this. Fighting for my dream."
Mark nodded. "I won't let you down." A voice interrupted them.
Are you ready?
Scorcha approached, her expression sharp. Mark took a breath. "I'm ready." Without another word, the group entered the volcanic cavern, stepping into the Cinnabar gym. Inside, the rocky interior of the volcano glowed from molten lava that bubbled beneath the battlefield. A large statue, carved from volcanic stone, stood at the entrance. Blaine Sr., the former gym leader and Scorch's and Blaine's grandfather. Mark paused, admiring the craftsmanship, but his focus was yanked away when his eyes fell on the battlefield. Lava churned beneath it. The battle platform hovered above the boiling abyss, supported by heavy steel beams embedded into the cavern walls. Mark's chest tightened. What if his Pokémon fell? He'd heard the stories. Only a few Pokémon could survive the heat of lava, and Magmar was one of them. Mark snapped out of it. He wouldn't let that happen. He took a deep breath and steadied himself. He came here to win. Anthony, Rachel, and Blaine stood nearby, watching intently. Vulpix and Eevee continued to bite at one another. Rachel considered returning them to their Pokeballs.
If you two don't behave, it's straight into the Pokeball for the both of you.
A referee stepped forward.
"This will be a 4-on-4 battle. Only Mark Masters can make substitutions."
Mark stepped forward, his eyes locked on his opponent. Mark and Scorcha both threw their Pokeballs at the same time. From Mark's side, Rocco the Graveler landed on the battlefield with a heavy thud, flexing his rocky arms. Opposite him, Flareon emerged in a flash of light, its fiery mane flaring up as it let out a determined cry. Rachel's Eevee perked up, watching its evolved form with admiration. The battle began immediately. Flareon darted forward with Trailblaze, its movements getting faster as it struck Rocco. Rocco retaliated with Rock Throw, but the nimble Fire-type dodged effortlessly. Flareon countered with Iron Tail, its glowing tail smashing into Rocco's body, sending him skidding backward. Mark gritted his teeth. He needed to slow Flareon down. Roll out! Rocco curled into a ball and spun forward at a high speed. Flareon attempted to dodge, but Rocco adjusted mid-roll, slamming into it hard. Flareon stumbled, but recovered quickly, unleashing a flamethrower. The intense flames blasted Rocco, but his iron defense absorbed most of the damage. Mark hesitated. He wanted to use Earthquake. It would be his strongest move against Flareon, but the battlefield hovered over lava. What if the attack broke the platform? What if Rocco or Flareon fell? He hesitated for 1 second too long. Flareon lunged with Facade, striking Rocco hard. Rocco, Earthquake! Rocco slammed his fists into the battlefield, sending out a violent shockwave. The platform shook, cracked spiderwebbing across the stone. Flareon yelped as the tremors knocked it off balance. Rocco didn't waste the opening. Roll out! Still curled up, Rocco launched forward, smashing into Flareon with full force. The Fire-type stumbled backward, dazed, then collapsed. The referee raised his hand.
Flareon is unable to battle. Graveler wins!
Mark let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Scorcha smirked, recalling Flareon. Mark exchanged a fist bump with Rocco. The first battle was his, but Scorcha wasn't done yet. Mark returned Rocco to his Pokeball. Scorcha smirked as she tossed her next Pokeball. A radiant Ninetales emerged onto the battlefield, its fur glowing under the volcanic light. From the stands, Rachel's Vulpix perked up for the first time, its usual grumpy demeanor fading as it stared in awe at its evolved form. Mark grabbed his next Pokeball. His Pidgeotto burst out, wings spread wide as it soared above the battlefield, circling over the hovering platform. Nimbus darted forward with Quick Attack, closing the distance in a blur, but Ninetales leaped aside gracefully, dodging the strike with ease. Ninetales' eyes glowed as it used extra sensory, sending a pulse of psychic energy toward Nimbus. The attack struck, but the Pidgeotto recovered midair, shaking off the mental pressure. Nimbus countered with Steel Wing, his glowing wings slicing through the air. He struck Ninetales across its side, but the Fire-type retaliated instantly, trapping Nimbus in a swirling fire spin. Flames twisted around Nimbus, limiting its movement. He flapped hard, trying to push through the firestorm, but Ninetales took advantage of the opening, hitting him with Confuse Ray. Nimbus wobbled midair, his movements growing erratic. Mark gritted his teeth. Nimbus, focus! Use Hurricane! Nimbus struggled, but despite the confusion, he managed to summon a powerful gust. Hurricane howled across the battlefield, pushing the flames and slamming into Ninetales. The Fire-type skidded backward, but held its ground, its tails whipping through the air. Before Mark could issue another command, Ninetales struck with a devastating extra sensory, hitting Nimbus head-on. The already confused Pidgeotto couldn't dodge in time. Nimbus spiraled through the air, trying to recover, but its wings faltered. He crashed onto the battlefield, unable to continue.
Pidgeotto is unable to battle. Ninetales wins.
Mark sighed, recalling Nimbus. 1 win each. Rachel glanced at her Vulpix, who was still staring at Ninetales with newfound admiration. Maybe this was exactly what her Pokemon needed, to see what it could become. Scorcha smirked.
What's up, Mark? You can't handle the heat?
Mark nodded, gripping his next Pokeball. He wasn't done yet. Rocco, let's go! The Graveler reappeared, slamming its fists together, ready for round 2. Ninetales flicked its tail, standing tall despite its earlier battle with Nimbus. Ninetales wasted no time, launching Fire Spin to trap Rocco in swirling flames. Mark called out, Rock Throw! Rocco tore chunks of stone from the battlefield and hurled them through the fire. Ninetales countered with extra sensory, sending a psychic blast at Rocco, but he planted his feet firmly, taking the hit and standing his ground. Rocco curled up and spun forward. The fire type tried to dodge, but Rocco adjusted mid-roll, shaking off the impact before quickly retaliating with another fire spin, surrounding Rocco again. Mark hesitated for a moment. He didn't like using Earthquake on this battlefield, but he had to take that risk. Rocco slammed into the battlefield, sending out a massive tremor. The entire platform rumbled, and Ninetales was thrown off its feet, unable to dodge. But before it could collapse, Ninetales' eyes glowed ominously. It fired off a confuse ray just as it fell. Rocco flinched as the ghostly light hit him. His stance wavered, his eyes unfocused.
Ninetales is unable to battle. Graveler wins.
Mark let out a relieved breath. He won the round, but now Rocco was confused going into the next battle. Mark braced himself. The battle was far from over. Scorcha tossed her next Pokeball. A dark-colored Marowak with a flaming bone materialized onto the battlefield, twirling its weapon. Its bluish-green flames burned intensely as it locked eyes with Rocco. Mark blinked in surprise. An Alolan Marowak?
Caught it in Alola while visiting my mom's side of the family. This one's special.
Mark hesitated, glancing at Rocco, who was still swaying from the effects of Confuse Ray. Anthony frowned. He should switch. Rocco's not in a good state. But for some reason, Mark kept Rocco in. Marowak dashed forward immediately. The bone ignited as it struck with a powerful shadow bone. Rocco stumbled back, but shook off the hit. Through the confusion, Mark called out, "Iron Defense!" Rocco hardened his body, preparing to take the next attack better. Marowak spun its bone and launched a stream of fire, engulfing Rocco. The flames didn't do as much damage thanks to Rocco's typing, but the heat was still intense. "Come on, Rocco! Rock throw!" Rocco tried to attack, but its confused state made it stagger. Instead of throwing rocks at Marowak, it hurled them in a random direction, missing completely. Scorcha called for Iron Head. Marowak charged, its skull glowing silver, and smashed into Rocco's body with brutal force. Rocco wobbled, still battling confusion, but Mark refused to give in. "Earthquake!" Rocco slammed the ground, creating another violent tremor. But Marowak leaped into the air, avoiding the worst of the impact. It landed gracefully and rushed forward again. Marowak used Shadow Bone that struck Rocco head-on, sending the Graveler tumbling off his feet. Rocco tried to push himself up, but his eyes swirled with confusion before he collapsed. The referee raised his hand.
Graveler is unable to battle. Marowak wins.
Mark sighed, recalling Rocco. He tossed his next Pokeball, sending Ray onto the battlefield. Sparks crackled from her cheeks, her stance low and ready. She was brimming with confidence, eyes locked onto Marowak, who twirled its flaming bone in response. Ray wasted no time, vanishing in a blur as agility kicked in, the electricity crackling across the battlefield as it made direct contact. Marowak endured the hit, gripping its bone tightly. Without any command from Scorcha, it suddenly raised its bone high, letting out a deep, unsettling cry. A strange energy rippled across the battlefield, faint but lingering. Mark barely noticed. Ray continued her relentless assault, her speed unmatched. She evaded Marowak's counterattacks effortlessly, followed by a devastating thunder. The bolt struck true, sending Marowak tumbling backward, its body twitching from the sheer force of the hit. It didn't get up. The referee announced Marowak's defeat. Mark stood firm, his focus locked on the battle, unaware of what had just transpired. Ray, victorious, flicked her tail, but then suddenly stumbled. The shift in the air sent a cold sensation through the battlefield. Ray's body shuddered, her sparks flickering erratically. The energy from before pulsed through her like a fading echo. Then it hit Mark. Perish Song had been used, and he hadn't even noticed. Ray let out a weak cry before collapsing. The referee wasted no time calling the result. Mark stood frozen, barely processing what had happened. He had won the battle, but lost Ray in the process? Now, it was one Pokemon each. Scorcha smirked as she reached for her final Pokeball. Everyone in the gym already knew what was coming. This was the battle that had been building from the start, the clash of the fire types. Mark and Scorcha both reached for their final Pokeballs at the same time. Mark sent out Charlie, who landed on the battlefield with fierce determination. The flame on her tail burned brightly, but there was no denying the size difference between her and Scorcha's final Pokemon. Scorcha sent out Magmar, the offspring of Blaine Sr.'s Pokemon. It towered over Charlie, flames raging from its body, eyes sharp with experience. Magmar immediately took control. It launched scorching sands, sending a surge of burning hot earth crashing onto Charlie. The impact knocked her off balance, and she barely had time to recover before Magmar charged forward, landing a devastating poison jab. Charlie stumbled backward, a deep purple hue spreading across her body. She had been poisoned. Mark clenched his fists, watching in horror as Charlie wobbled, struggling to stand. The poison would wear her down fast, and Magmar wasn't letting up. Magmar continued to dominate, launching a relentless barrage of flamethrowers and scorching sands. Each hit pushed Charlie closer to her limit, but she refused to stay down. Mark's heart pounded. He didn't know what to do. Every time Charlie got back up, Magmar knocked her right back down again. The battle felt one-sided, a slow, painful defeat. Then, Magmar began to charge up its strongest attack. Fire Blast. The massive symbol of flames formed in front of Magmar, burning hotter than anything Charlie had faced before. Mark screamed. I forfeit! His voice echoed through the gym. But it was too late. The Fire Blast was already unleashed. Mark's eyes widened in horror as the flames rushed toward Charlie. She tried to brace herself, but the impact was devastating. The sheer force sent her flying backward, her small body hitting the ground hard. The flame on her tail flickered weakly, her body unmoving. Silence filled the battlefield. Mark stood frozen. Charlie had lost, which meant Blaine had lost too. The referee confirmed the result, but Mark barely heard it. His legs felt weak as he ran toward Charlie, falling to his knees beside her. Her body was covered in burns, the poison still lingering. Tears welled in his eyes as he cradled his unconscious partner, the reality of his defeat crashing down on him. Mark let out broken sobs as he held Charlie close.
She needs medical attention! We need to get a Pidgeot taxi now!
Hurry, the flame on her tail is going out.
Charlie, no!
Wake up, little one.
Charlie's eyes opened slowly. In front of her stood Liza, and beside her, the graceful and powerful Charla. The sky was bright, and a valley stretched wide and grand, full of boulders, cliffs, and the roar of mighty wings. Around Charla, a group of young Charmander gathered eagerly. It was their first day of training. Charlie was lying on a large nest, weakly rising to her feet. She looked around in awe at the majestic Charizard soaring above, and the cliffs where others were training intensely. Liza explained that the valley was once a place where Charizard came to grow stronger, but now many had entrusted their offspring to her care. It was her job to train them until they were ready to find strong, loving trainers. Charlie's awe was short-lived. 3 other Charmanders sneered at her from behind. One gave her a slight shove, another snickered. Her brother, the largest among them, gave her a mocking look. Sharla's low growl silenced them quickly. She stepped forward, towering over the young ones.
Their mother knows best.
Their training was about to begin. The young Charmander were told to practice scratch on boulders. Most made visible marks, a few even chipped the stone. Charlie scratched with all her strength, but her claws bounced off of the surface. She winced, her paw stung. The others laughed. Next, Liza instructed them to try smokescreen. One by one, clouds puffed into the air. Charlie tried and nothing came out. Again, laughter. Her eyes narrowed. Anger built inside her, but as she looked up at Sharla, who stood calmly watching, Charlie took a deep breath and held it back. Liza moved to the next drill, practice battling. Charlie was paired with her older brother, the same one who had teased her all morning. He grinned smugly, already confident in the outcome. The battle began. It was brutal, one-sided. Charlie tried to land a hit but was overpowered quickly. Her brother knocked her to the ground over and over until she could barely move. Other Charizard looked on, their expressions unreadable. Charlie laid there, her body aching, fighting tears. She had failed. Again. And all she could do was look up at her mother, Sharla, who watched silently from afar. Charlie's body ached from the battle, but the sting of embarrassment hurt even more. She didn't want her siblings or the other Charizard to see her cry. Without a word, she turned and ran, tears stinging her eyes.
Give the little ones some time. Not all Charmander are born to battle.
Charla looked concerned, but held back, trusting Liza's wisdom. Charlie kept running, but she wasn't watching her footing. She tripped over a rock, tumbling down a short hill. She hit the ground hard, but didn't cry out. She landed just a few feet from a calm lake, the water rippling peacefully. Charlie sat up slowly. She looked around, breathing heavily. Then, she froze. Across the lake on a distant hill, a masked woman in black stood silently, her presence out of place in the serene valley. She wasn't looking at Charlie. Instead, she stared toward the entrance of the valley, holding a device in her hand.
Target should be approaching soon.
Charlie's eyes widened, but a shadow loomed over her. Before she could react, a masked man in black grabbed her from behind. He muttered to himself as he lifted her off the ground.
Another one for the collection.
Charlie squirmed, then bit his hand. The man yelped, dropping her. She hit the ground running, legs pumping with fear. He tossed a Pokeball forward. Rhyperior emerged with a heavy thud, towering over Charlie. Charlie froze. Her tail flame flickered. She tried Scratch. Nothing. The attack bounced off the rock titan. She tried to summon a smokescreen. Still nothing. Rhyperior let out a deep laugh. Just as it prepared to strike, a blast of fire exploded from above. Rhyperior was knocked back hard, roaring in pain. The masked man cursed and turned to flee, disappearing into the trees. Charlie looked up, trembling. A shadow passed overhead. A large Charizard descending from the sky, wings spread wide. On its back sat a young man in a cap, and beside him, a familiar yellow Pokémon with lightning bolt tail. Ash Ketchum, the world champion, and his partner Pikachu had arrived. Ash and his Charizard descended slowly, landing near the lake where Charlie still stood, frozen in awe. The little Charmander stared up at them. Something about the sight felt familiar, but she couldn't understand why. Charizard approached her, sniffed curiously, then gave her a playful lick across the face. Ash stepped down and looked around, noticing the KO'd Rhyperior still lying near the lake's edge.
How did you end up all the way out here?
He gently picked up Charlie and glanced towards the valley in the distance. It struck him as odd. No other Pokémon usually wandered this close to the valley's borders. With Charlie in his arms, he and Charizard took off, soaring back to the valley entrance. The heavy gates opened as they arrived, and Liza rushed out to greet them. Relief washed over her face the moment she saw Charlie was safe. Sharla was right behind her, but she didn't go to her daughter. She charged straight towards Ash's Charizard, approaching him in a joyful embrace. Liza turned toward the gathered Charmander.
You were only just hatched the last time you met this Charizard.
She smiled warmly, eyes settling on Charlie.
So, little ones, let me reintroduce you to your father.
Charlie's eyes widened. Her mouth opened slightly in disbelief as she looked up at the towering fire type who had rescued her. The Charizard who saved her life was her father. Liza spoke privately with Ash, explaining Charlie's struggles. She hadn't found her strength. She couldn't match the others. Liza feared Charlie may never leave the valley, that she might become one of those Pokémon that simply stayed behind.
I don't agree, Liza.
Ash turned to Charlie, studying her closely.
There's something in your eyes, little one. You have the potential to become the greatest fire lizard, like no one ever was. Even stronger than your father.
Charizard looked down at his daughter, his expression soft. For the first time, Charlie felt something deeper, a spark of connection she'd never known. Before the moment could settle, a disturbance rippled through the sky. An aircraft descended over the valley. Men in black uniforms dropped from the ship, leading them the same masked woman Charlie had seen before. She stared coldly toward the valley and spoke into her device.
Target locked in.
She threw a Pokeball. Swoobat emerged, zipping through the air and instantly striking Ash's Charizard with Confuse Ray. Grunts followed, releasing rock, water, and electric-type Pokemon, all aimed at the resident Charizard. A battle broke out. The young Charmander huddled together in fear. Pikachu stood in front of them, guarding them bravely. Suddenly, a Persian with a scarred eye stepped forward, its cold stare fixed on Pikachu, and the battle began. The Persian matched Pikachu in speed and strength, landing heavy blows. Ash's confused Charizard was struck down by an Electivire, collapsing in pain. Charlie let out a piercing cry. Pikachu was blasted across the field, landing beside Charizard. Ash ran forward, shielding them. The masked woman stepped into view.
Come willingly, and no one gets hurt.
I will never leave these Pokémon!
Swoobat began to charge a powerful attack, aimed at Ash and the weakened Pokémon. Suddenly, Charlie ran in front of them. Her tail flame blazed brighter than ever before. In one enormous burst, she unleashed a devastating fire attack, one never seen from a Charmander. The blast lit up the entire valley, shaking the ground and sending shockwaves across the battlefield. A massive explosion followed. When the smoke cleared, Charlie collapsed, completely drained. Charlotte dashed to her side, holding her tightly. Ash and Liza stared in awe. Charizard and Pikachu rose together, recovering from their injuries, and fired off a combined attack with fierce precision. The masked woman called for a retreat. The remaining grunts and their Pokemon vanished. The aircraft pulled away into the clouds. The Charizard of the valley and the young Charmander surrounded Charlie, praising her courage. Ash turned to Liza.
I don't know who that group was, but I know this isn't the last time that we'll see them. I'm going to return to Pallet Town and speak with Gary, or Professor Oak.
As the sky calmed, Liza glanced at Sharla, who was speaking softly to Ash's Charizard while Charlie stood between them. Liza nodded to herself, then turned to Ash.
Ash, you need to take Charmander to Professor Oak. I know he will choose the perfect trainer for her. Charmander needs a trainer who will take her around the world, where she can grow, learn, and reach her full potential.
Sharla wrapped her daughter in one final embrace. Charizard gave her a proud smile. Then, with tears in her eyes, Sharla let go. Ash climbed onto Charizard's back. Charlie held securely in his arms. They took off toward the sky. As the sun rose over the valley, its light caught in Charlie's eyes. She blinked against the glow, then slowly closed her eyes to rest. Everything was black. Charlie drifted in a void, the world around her silent, until faint voices echoed in the distance.
Her tail! Her tail! Charlie looks funny.
Charlie's eyes opened. She was in a hospital bed. The flame on her tail was larger and brighter than Mark had ever seen. Mark stood beside her, tears falling, barely able to speak as he saw her alive and well. He moved to hug her, overwhelmed, but Charlie made soft, deliberate sounds. Not cries, not whimpers, almost like a speech. Mark stared at her, stunned. He knelt beside the bed, listening closely. Then slowly, he nodded, his expression turning serious. He looked back at Anthony and Rachel, who stood in quiet awe. Later that day, Nurse Joy stood at the front desk, folding her arms in concern. She told Mark she couldn't understand it. Charlie had nearly died. Her vitals were failing when they arrived, and now she was glowing with health. Her body was energized. The flame on her tail roared with strength. Joy hesitated. She said she advised against what Mark was planning, but she couldn't deny something had changed in Charlie. Something powerful. The trio flew back to Cinnabar's volcano on a Pidgeot taxi. As they landed near the gym entrance, they saw Blaine waiting there with Poliwag. His eyes welled up when he saw them, especially when he spotted Charlie walking confidently beside Mark. Mark stopped for a moment, his face calm, then serious. This isn't over. He walked past Blaine, pushing open the gym doors. Inside the volcanic battlefield, Mark stood tall. Scorcha turned, surprised.
Mark?
I want a rematch, he said without hesitation. Scorcha blinked.
Already? Wait, you want to use Charlie? I've been worried sick about her. Please don't tell me you want to battle her right now.
I want a one-on-one battle. Charlie versus Magmar. If I win, I get the volcano badge and Blaine gets to follow his dream. He paused. If you win, Blaine does what you want. The room fell silent. Mark's next words shocked everyone. And Charlie becomes your Pokémon. Gasps echoed from Rachel, Anthony, and even Blaine. Mark continued, his voice low but firm. If I can't beat you, then I don't deserve to be Charlie's trainer. She deserves someone who can bring out her greatness. Scorcha stared at him in disbelief. Then slowly, she smiled. There was no mocking in her tone, just respect. She accepted the challenge. The two trainers took their positions. The referee stepped forward, and the battle was about to begin. The heat inside the volcano gym intensified as the battlefield hummed with energy. Lava bubbled below the suspended platform, and the air crackled in anticipation. Across from Mark, Scorcha stood ready, her expression unreadable. Charlie's tail blazed higher than ever before. Magmar appeared opposite her, its body radiating with heat, flames rising from its shoulders. Magmar charged in with Poison Jab, its arm glowing purple. Charlie narrowly dodged, countering with a burst of ember, the flames grazing Magmar's side. Magmar growled and responded with a wave of scorching sands, kicking up a blast of burning earth that struck Charlie and knocked her off her feet. She slid back, but scrambled up, panting. Mark called out for Metal Claw, and Charlie's small claws shimmered silver as she lunged forward, slashing Magmar across the chest. The hit landed, but Magmar was quick to retaliate with Flamethrower, blasting Charlie with intense flames that pushed her back again. She shook it off and spun, unleashing Fire Spin, a swirling vortex that trapped Magmar briefly. Magmar broke free, but Charlie was already mid-attack, letting out a roar as she used Dragon Breath. The blue energy surged forward, striking Magmar hard and forcing it back a step. The crowd watching held their breath. It was nothing like the last time. This time, Charlie was fighting with everything she had. Still, Magmar had the upper hand. Its strength, size, and experience were clear with every exchange. Charlie panted, sweat dripping down her brow. Her footing trembled on the edge of the platform, but her eyes burned with determination. Then, Magmar raised its arms, flames gathering above its head, swirling into a massive shape. Fire Blast. Mark's heart skipped a beat. The symbol-shaped inferno hurled across the battlefield, racing towards Charlie. But unlike last time, she didn't flinch. Charlie stepped forward, raising her small claws, and caught it. The moment her claws touched the attack, the energy pushed back against her with brutal force. Her feet skidded across the platform. She was holding it back, actually holding it, but the sheer weight of it was too much. She slipped. Charlie fell straight toward the lava below. Charlie! Charlie emerged, not as a Charmander, but as a Charmeleon. Gasps filled the gym. Her claws were sharper, her body taller and stronger, and her tail flame roared with new life. She stood on the battlefield with a confident smirk, then turned to Mark and gave him a thumbs up. Mark stood, stunned for only a moment before bursting into a wide, joyful grin. The battle wasn't over. It was Charmeleon versus Magmar now. Magmar roared in challenge. Charlie returned it with a fierce growl of her own. Magmar opened with scorching sands, but Charmeleon charged through it, tanking the damage. She launched a fire spin, trapping Magmar in a swirling vortex of flames. Magmar powered through and struck with Poison Jab, landing a hit to Charmeleon's shoulder. She winced, but responded instantly with Metal Claw, her glowing claws slicing across Magmar's chest. The two circled one another, exchanging hits. Flamethrower, Dragon Breath, Flamethrower again. The pace intense, the energy rising. Charlie was faster, stronger, and more focused than ever. Magmar began to wear down. Then came the final clash. Both trainers gave the same command. Flamethrower! Twin jets of fire burst forward from both Pokémon, colliding mid-air with an explosive roar. For a moment, the flames were equal, burning, crackling, pushing against each other. But then, Charlie's eyes narrowed. She stepped forward, forcing her flames harder. Her flamethrower began to overpower Magmar's. The stream surged through, striking Magmar directly, blasting it back into the gym wall with a fiery explosion. When the smoke cleared, Magmar lay still. The referee made the call.
Magmar is unable to battle. Charmeleon wins! The victory goes to Mark of New Barktown!
Cheers erupted from the sidelines. Anthony, Rachel, and Blaine jumped to their feet, clapping and celebrating. Mark didn't wait. He ran across the field as Charlie rushed to him. They collided in a loving embrace, their bond stronger than ever. Scorcha stood stunned, but then she smiled and walked over to them.
I guess I was wrong about you,
she said kindly. Then reached into her pocket and held out a badge. Mark took it with awe. The volcano badge gleamed in his hands. He held it up with Charlie at his side, both of them beaming with pride. Scorcha then turned to Blaine. Her expression softened. She admitted she had been selfish, thinking she was protecting him, when really, she was afraid to let go. She handed him a folded paper. Blaine opened it and his eyes widened. It was a scholarship to Alola, where he could train under Hala and Professor Kukui at their wrestling school. Blaine's jaw dropped. He looked at his sister.
Thank you, sis. I love you. Grandpa Blaine would be so proud of you.
Then he turned to Mark and Charlie.
Thank you both. You made this possible.
Mark looked down at Charlie. The gym lights reflected off of her red scales and proud smile. I love you, he whispered, his voice cracking. So much. Charlie made a soft series of growls, sounds that only Mark seemed to understand. I love you too.
Somebody help me!
Huh? Must have been a hoot-hoot.
Mark, Rachel, Anthony, Blaine, and Scorcha gathered at the bustling airport. The energy's still high after Mark's big win at the Cinnabar Island Gym. Blaine was preparing to leave for Alola after earning a wrestling scholarship. Mark beamed with pride, clutching his volcano badge. Charlie, now a Charmeleon, stood proudly beside him.
Thanks for an amazing battle, Mark,
Scorcha said with her Flareon by her side. It was saying goodbye to Rachel's Eevee. The two had become close friends. Rachel took out one of the Firestones she had won in the SS Ann contest and approached Eevee. Could this be the one? Like the water and Thunderstones, Eevee sniffed the Firestone carefully. After a moment, Eevee turned away, rejecting yet another evolutionary stone. Rachel was certain this time, but she respected Eevee's decision. Scorcha chuckled and then turned to her brother Blaine, giving him a tight hug.
Grandpa would be so proud. Give our love to Kiawe when you get there.
Blaine smiled and then turned to Mark.
Thanks, Mark. I'll be cheering you on in the Kanto League. I really hope we meet again someday.
Blaine raced towards his gate. The group watched as his jumbo plane soared into the sky.
So, where are you three headed next?
Anthony pulled out his Rotom phone, checking the map.
There's a junior frontier tournament in Lavender Town.
Gasper popped out of his Pokeball, looking jittery.
Master, listen. We don't need to go there. Lavender Town is overrated. Trust me.
Mark smirked and gently returned Gasper to his ball.
We're going anyway.
The trio said their goodbyes to Scorcha, boarding a small plane bound for their next adventure. During the flight, Rachel and Mark were surprised to see Anthony looking anxious. Even the slightest rumble made him flinch. Anthony sat stiffly, gripping the armrests.
This is my first ever plane ride. I never went on vacation growing up. Couldn't afford it, but now, thanks to the trainer money...
It's just an hour flight. We'll be in Lavender Town before you know it.
Mark turned to the window, his eyes catching a shadow in the distance. He blinked, tired, and then leaned back to rest. But then, the plane shook violently.
What was that?
Mark's eyes shot open. Out the window, a green blur zipped past. Celebi, wings fluttering fast. Mark's heart skipped. He knew something was chasing it. A massive ball of energy came flying towards Celebi.
Mew-see!
In a flash, Celebi dodged, but the attack slammed into the plane. The aircraft split in two. Passengers screamed as they were hurling into the open sky.
Call your Pokémon!
Mark reached into his belt, tossing a Pokeball. Nimbus burst out, and Mark grabbed his Talon with one hand, cradling his egg with the other. Anthony's Beedrill swooped in to catch him. Rachel was caught midair by Fearow. All three Pokemon strained against the wind, wings beating furiously. But then, Mark's eyes widened in horror as his egg slipped from his grasp, vanishing through the clouds. And that wasn't all. 3 of his Pokeballs fell from his belt, 2 from Rachel, 1 from Anthony. The trio's screams echoed, their hearts broken as there was nothing they could do. Across a vast field of snow, 6 Pokeballs lay scattered and still. One twitched, then popped open. Charlie emerged and glanced around, confused. Noticing the other Pokeballs, she hurried over and tapped them lightly.
Come on, wake up.
One by one, the others appeared. Ray, Darius, Dratini, Eevee, and Vulpix. Each looked around, equally puzzled.
I think we ended up on some abandoned island. The last thing I remember, we were where those flying crafts were coming and going.
They're called aeroplanes. Ray's ears drooped with worry.
Maybe there was an accident. Sounds far-fetched to me. Maybe Rachel and the others just abandoned us.
Eevee growled, stepping forward.
Rachel would never do that!
Shows what you know.
Without warning, Eevee lunged at Vulpix, tackling her into the snow. They scuffled, kicking up flurries.
Enough!
Charlie stomped between them, forcing them apart.
Fighting won't get us off this island. We need to find someone who can help.
Dratini let out a chirp. Up ahead, stuck high in the branches of a leafless tree, was Mark's egg, cradled precariously. Before they could act, a Mankey darted from the underbrush and snatched the egg.
Hey, come back!
The group charged after Mankey, but a troop of Primate blocked their path, growling and pounding the ground. Just as the Pokemon braced for battle, A Wartortle, Wigglytuff, and Weevil sprang in, each wearing green scarves. Together, they drove the primate away. The danger passed, but the Mankey and the egg were gone. Charlie stepped forward, determined.
We're not leaving without that egg.
Wartortle locked eyes with her. After a moment, he nodded.
We can help. We're part of a rescue team. We protect Pokémon from evil humans. And Pokémon.
Weevil seemed unimpressed.
We shouldn't waste time on strangers.
We help any Pokemon in need.
Wartortle turned to the group.
Follow me.
The rescue team led the group toward a dark, winding cave. With no other choice, the stranded Pokémon followed their new allies into the unknown. Elsewhere on the island, Mark, Anthony, and Rachel lay sprawled across the snowy ground, shivering and gasping for breath. Above them, Nimbus, Beedrill, and Fearow flapped their wings weakly, struggling to recover. Mark scrambled to his feet, looking around frantically.
Charlie! Darius! Ray! Where are you?
Anthony and Rachel also called out for their Pokémon, but the howling winds swallowed their voices.
We need to move before we freeze to death!
A voice cut through the cold.
You need to get off this island.
Mark, Rachel, and Anthony turned sharply. Standing before them were 4 hooded figures. The leader wore a deep red shade, their faces hidden in the shadows. The trio tensed, unsure whether to run or fight.
We need to find our Pokémon!
The red hooded man stepped forward.
We are also searching. But if we help you find them, you must promise to leave this island immediately.
The trio exchanged uneasy glances, but nodded, desperation outweighing doubt. Wordlessly, they followed the cloaked figures, hearts pounding with worry for their lost Pokémon. Back in the cave, Charlie, Ray, Darius, Dratini, Eevee, and Vulpix followed the 3 rescuers through the winding tunnels. Ahead, a bright light shimmered. They stepped out into a snowy terrain built entirely of ice and snow. Pokémon from all over the world bustled through the streets, lined with snow-made houses and markets. Many wore colored scarves, each marking their rank as rescuers. Wartortle turned to explain.
Many poachers come here to capture the rare Pokémon that call this island home.
Darius lifted his head proudly.
Ray and I used to be part of a team that rescued sick and vulnerable Pokémon. Our friends ended up becoming Pokémon Rangers.
Weevil scoffed, but before he could lash out, Wigglytuff quickly stepped between them. The tension eased, and the group moved through the snowy streets until they reached a towering igloo at the town center. A Mr. Rhyme greeted them at the entrance, a dignified air about him.
Welcome! I am the mayor of this town. We have a growing problem. The primate bandits. If we don't stop them soon, they'll overrun our home.
He leaned closer, lowering his voice.
It's rumored they are the ones allowing poachers to slip onto our island.
Before anyone could respond, a Murkrow swooped down from the gray sky, dropping a letter into Mr. Rhyme's hands. He unfolded it and read aloud.
The leader's made an offer. Give up the town or the eggs get squished.
Charlie growled fiercely, tail lashing behind her.
We will not surrender our town. We will rescue that egg.
He turned to the green-scarfed rescuers.
You 3, prepare for a mission to steal the egg back.
Charlie stepped forward, fire in her eyes.
We'll help too.
The mayor studied the group, sensing the strength and spirit forged by their trainers. Vulpix yawned dramatically.
I'd rather take a nap.
Eevee snapped at her, furious. Dratini slithered between them, trying to keep the peace.
It's not like this snowy place is great for a fire type anyway.
Mr. Rhyme chuckled and pulled out green scarves, handing one to each outsider. Weevil scowled, clearly displeased. Charlie tightened her new scarf with pride. Together, the new team set out, ready to rescue the stolen egg and face whatever dangers lay ahead. Meanwhile, night had fallen over the island as Mark, Rachel, and Anthony continued following the hooded figures through the snow. The cold bit harder under the dark sky. Whispers passed between the cloaked strangers ahead, barely audible. Rachel glanced at their hidden faces nervously.
Why do they wear cloaks?
Only the red hooded figure spoke. He kept his voice low, but direct as he questioned them. Where were they from? What were their goals? Rachel answered first, mentioning her dream of becoming a top coordinator. At her words, the figure in gray hesitated mid-step before continuing without a word. Mark stepped forward, his voice strong against the cold. I want to be just like my hero, Ash Ketchum. Even though I want to be world champion, my real wish is to find Ash, battle him, and become friends. And the red hooded figure paused, his head turning sharply toward Mark. A strange sound escaped him, a scoff or a growl. His tone was harsh when he spoke.
You're chasing a pipe dream.
Mark's fists clenched, but before he could reply, a rumble shook the ground. Giant Abomasnow burst from the shadows, roaring. The trio braced themselves, but just the red and gray figures moved, each tossing a Pokeball. A massive Venusaur appeared beside a gleaming, shiny Rapidash. With swift, brutal efficiency, they defeated the Abomasnow with one hit. Mark stared in awe, strong trainers hiding beneath those robes. Without a word, the hooded figures pressed onward. The trio had no choice but to follow, questions burning in their minds. High in the mountains, the Pokémon hiked through the thick snow beneath a moonlit sky. Eevee and Vulpix bickered as usual, their voices echoing off the icy walls. Darius and Weevil exchanged tense glances, the air between them thick with unspoken rivalry. Without a warning, a blizzard swept over them. And then, boulder-sized snowballs tumbled down the cliff, heading straight for the group. The Pokémon jumped into action, launching attacks to break the incoming snow. All but Vulpix, who stood back with a scoff.
These weren't natural. Someone's watching us.
Maybe the primate were tipped off.
They pushed forward cautiously. Soon, they discovered a massive nest tucked in a rocky clearing. Blue eggs rested gently inside, along with Mark's egg. Before they could approach, a troop of Mankey and Primeape leapt from the shadows, blocking the path. At the center stood their leader, Annihilape. The Pokémon froze as Annihilape snarled.
You three rescuers are frauds! You stole something sacred, and now we think we found it.
He pointed to Mark's egg.
Give us the stolen egg, and you can take this one.
We never stole an egg!
The mountain echoed with roars as a battle erupted. Amid the chaos, Annihilape targeted Vulpix with a brutal attack. She flinched, but Eevee threw herself in the way, taking the full blow. She hit the snow hard, badly wounded. Vulpix stared, stunned.
Well, why did you save me?
It's what Rachel would do. She's out there, looking for both of us.
Tears welled up in Vulpix's eyes. She rushed to Eevee's side, helped her up, and gently licked her cheek. A loud caw echoed through the sky. The blizzard stilled as Articuno descended, wings glowing in the moonlight. Articuno's voice boomed. Enough. Treat the wounded. A Primeape stepped forward to help Eevee, leaving the others speechless. Articuno revealed the truth. Its own egg had been stolen. The Mankey had mistaken Mark's egg for Articuno's, trying to protect it ever since, but a poacher had already stolen the real one. Articuno and its mate had been searching far and wide for the missing egg. The mother was still out searching.
Then, the rescuers had nothing to do with it.
Suddenly, a bolt of electricity struck Articuno, stunning the legendary bird mid-flight. It collapsed into the snow. A group emerged from the shadows. Team Justice. Charlie and the others froze. Levi, Madison, and Drowsy had arrived. Levi's Sandslash stepped forward beside an Alolan Sandshrew. Madison stepped into the clearing, smiling coldly.
Thanks for leading us to Articuno.
Wartortle growled.
What are you talking about?
He was cut off as Wigglytuff struck him from behind, sending him crashing into the snow. Gasping, Weevil turned in shock. Wigglytuff removed her green scarf, tossing it aside. A Clefable stepped forward beside her. Wigglytuff had betrayed them all.
I'm no rescuer. I am now Madison's second Pokemon.
Weevil stepped back, eyes wide. Wartortle laid stunned. But before Team Justice could claim victory, Charlie and the others leapt forward. Fueled by betrayal and rage, Wartortle charged after Wigglytuff, demanding answers.
Why did you betray us?
Wigglytuff stood firm, her voice cold.
I met Levy and Madison while they were searching the island for a rare jewel. At first, I was going to stop them, but Madison explained their mission to bring justice back to the world. I believed in their cause. When we learned Articuno lived here, our new mission became taking its offspring. A team of Articuno would bring true justice.
Wartortle roared in anger and attacked. Wigglytuff fought back fiercely, but Clefable jumped in, shielding her. Charlie rushed forward, joining Wartortle's side. Meanwhile, Ray and Dratini teamed up against Levi's Sandslash, darting and weaving between its spinning attacks. Weevil and Darius fought side by side, forming a tight unit against the Alolan Sandshrew. Their teamwork pushed the enemy back. At the edge of the battlefield, Vulpix stayed by Eevee's side, shielding her from stray attacks. Dratini and Annihilape worked to free Articuno, but every time they touched the electric rope, they were zapped, thrown back by powerful shocks. Before they could try again, Drowsy appeared, blocking their path and ready to battle. Hope began to fade. Then, a blinding light cut through the darkness. The red hooded figure appeared, Venusaur at his side. The other cloaked figures followed. Charlie lifted her head and her eyes widened. It was Mark, Anthony, and Rachel. Wow, it's Articuno! And Team Justice are trying to steal it! Madison and Levi quickly called back their Pokémon, regrouping. The red figure's Venusaur stepped forward, but the two blue hooded figures moved faster. They pulled back their hoods, revealing a Lucario and a Greninja. In a flash, the three Pokémon struck together, overwhelming Team Justice. Madison and Levi barely had time to react. They recalled their Pokémon and activated jetpacks strapped to their backs, blasting into the sky and disappearing into the night. Mark, Anthony, and Rachel rushed to reunite with their Pokémon. Rachel gently wrapped Eevee in her arms, tending to her wounds. Vulpix quietly stepped forward and nuzzled Eevee, surprising Rachel. She glanced between them and smiled. Nearby, Articuno nestled close to its egg, finally at peace.
Return the egg to its true owner.
Annihilape stepped forward, lifting Mark's egg with care and placing it gently at his feet. He turned to Charlie with a respectful nod.
I will be forever grateful to these humans and Pokémon.
The group were shocked to see a second Articuno descend. It was the mother, overjoyed to see her lost egg had been returned. Suddenly, Mark's egg began to glow. Everyone gathered around as the light intensified. Mark was shocked to see a silver-furred Eevee emerge, blinking up at him. Rachel was overjoyed that Mark had an Eevee of his own. Her Eevee perked up, approaching the newborn with curiosity. The shiny Eevee chirped happily and climbed up onto Mark's shoulder. I'll name you Ether. Mark then officially caught his shiny Eevee.
Eevee has been registered to your Pokédex,
adding another member to his growing team. The snowy wind settled as the moment passed. Mark, Anthony, and Rachel stood together, turning to say farewell. The rescue team and Annihilape's kin stood tall. The Pokémon returned to their trainers' sides and were sent into their Pokéballs where they would be warm and safe. They gave the Articuno one final look. They would have loved to spend more time with them, but they had to find a way off this island. As the trio turned to leave, they saw the two remaining hooded figures ahead, alongside Greninja and Lucario. A strange feeling crept into Mark's chest. He stepped forward, trying to speak. Hey, who are you? They ignored Mark. Can you at least help us get off this island? The red hooded figure stopped.
Battle me, and I'll show you the path.
Mark hesitated, eyes narrowing, but nodded. The figure climbed a high, snowy hill in silence. At the peak, he turned around slowly, looking down at Mark. At least tell me your name!
My name. My true name. My true name is Satoshi Redra Ketchum. but the world knows me as Red. I came to this island to find my son, but now I need to release my frustration. Mark Masters, battle me!
Ray, I choose you!
Pika Pika.
Pika, let's show them how it's done.
Ray, start fast! Quick attack!
Pika, dig!
What?
Pika, surf!
Ray, dodge with agility! Thunderbolt!
Pikachu!
Volt tackle!
Thunder! Full power! Ray! Yes! Thunder Punch! Go!
Pika, combo! Surfing Volt tackle!
You were amazing, Ray. I'm so proud of you.
Wilfred, you're up! Let's show them our strength!
Polly, let's go!
Wilfred, Stun Spore!
Polly, Ice Beam!
Psy Beam!
Close combat!
Gust!
Hydro Pump!
Energy Ball!
Mark, do you want to give up?
Not a chance. I'm not done yet. All right, Charlie, it's your turn. Let's finish this strong.
Soar! Go!
Fire Spin!
Earthquake!
Dragon Breath!
Sludge Bomb!
Metal Claw! Going close!
Energy Ball!
Flamethrower! Full Blast!
Solar Beam! Good fight.
The battle between Mark and Red had ended. Mark caught his breath while Anthony and Rachel approached, offering words of praise despite his loss. Mark looked up at Red, hesitating, then spoke. "Are you Ash's father?" Red's eyes shifted toward Lucario and Greninja. Mark followed his gaze, realizing these weren't just any Pokemon. They were Ash's.
I am. But I wasn't much of a father to him. The last time I saw Ash was during the Pokémon War 3 years ago. He rejected any relationship between us.
What happened between you two?
That's personal.
He turned slightly, motioning to the gray hooded figure beside him. The figure pulled back his hood, revealing a young man, maybe 18. Rachel's eyes widened.
Darren Ketchum? You're the Kalos King and a top coordinator?
That's right! And you've won Kanto, Unova, and Alola conferences! Darren smiled faintly, stepping forward.
You see, Ash is my cousin. I came to help Uncle Red find him. This little guy here? He just so happens to be my top friend. Meet my very own Pikachu. His name is Raiden. Say hi, little buddy.
Red's face tightened as he continued.
Ash's Grey Ninja and Lucario have been using their aura to search for him. But they only found me. The connection to Ash is still there. Faint. That worries us. He might still be alive, but far from Kanto.
Red looked visibly worried.
We heard rumors about strange figures coming to this island. We thought maybe they were behind Ash's disappearance, but it turned out it was just Team Justice.
Mark stepped closer, urgency in his voice. Wait, what about Mu-Z? I believe it has Ash. Red stiffened, his eyes narrowing.
Giovanni actually did it?
As the sky darkened and a blizzard began to roll in, the group hurried to a nearby cave, setting up camp as the winds howled outside. The next morning, the blizzard had eased, giving the group the green light to leave the cave. Anthony started looking around, concerned. Where's Rachel? Mark glanced around, realizing she was missing. Darren, Greninja, and Lucario were all missing too. The three hurried outside, following fresh tracks in the snow. Ahead, they found Rachel standing across from Darren. Lucario and Greninja stood high in the mountains, scouting ahead. What's going on?
We're having a contest battle. It'll be a good experience for me. I'm heading for my 3rd contest ribbon.
Darren gave a confident nod, ready for the friendly match. Mark and Anthony exchanged a glance, then settled in to watch.
All right, Vulpix. This is practice, remember? Let's show them your shine.
Let's give them the greatest show, Mr. Mime.
Vulpix, start with Will-O-Wisp. Make it dance.
All right, Mr. Mime. Freeze the stage and counter with Icy Wind.
Quick attack. Weave through the ice.
Gah! Mr. Mime, use Light Screen now!
Confuse Ray. Add some spin.
Time to do it, Mr. Mime. Break through with Dazzling Gleam.
Ember Finale, Vulpix.
For the grand finale, Mr. Mime, use Confusion.
The contest battle wrapped up, snowflakes drifting gently as Rachel smiled, catching her breath.
Wow, Rachel, you are really talented. You know, someday you'll be top coordinator just like me.
Rachel's cheeks flushed slightly at the praise. Red, standing nearby, gave her a rare nod.
Your father would be proud.
You knew my dad?
We battled a long time ago. Stephen was a great man.
Rachel's eyes softened as Red continued.
I also knew your grandfather, Blue Oak. He was both a rival and a mentor to me.
Rachel smiled faintly, touched by the connection. Anthony broke the moment, glancing around.
So, how are we getting off this island?
Our families must be freaking out. They've probably heard about the plane crash by now. He pulled out his Rotom phone, frowning at the blank screen. No signal. Also, I need to transfer my new Eevee, Ether. Since I already have 6 Pokemon with me, the system auto-sent Ether to New Barktown, to my dad's care. Red turned to Mark.
Your Eevee's in good hands being in the care of Mike Masters.
Mark stiffened, eyes wide. Wait, how do you know my dad? Red smirked faintly.
He challenged me at Mount Silver years ago, right after winning the Silver Conference.
Mark's jaw dropped in disbelief, realizing just how connected they all were. Lucario and Greninja let out sharp cries from the mountaintop. The group quickly climbed to meet them, shielding their eyes as they looked into the sky. In the distance, something soared above the clouds, large, metallic, and gliding with grace.
There it is. I'll ride off this island.
That looks familiar.
Well, believe it or not, there's another ship like it. This one's a sister vessel.
As the flying ship descended, snow whipped around them. Its engines hummed as it lowered onto the snowy island. 2 men and 2 women stepped out to greet them. Mark's eyes widened. Wait, Casey? From the Electabuzz? The woman grinned.
Guilty! I had to retire after an injury. Now I'm the ship's engineer.
She motioned to the others.
This is Dr. Abby Sanpei and Helios. Helios runs the ship with Captain Charcadet.
We're the Fallen Flare Blitzers. Red and Darren aren't official members, but we've shared plenty of adventures.
Helios motioned them aboard. The ship took flight, slicing through the sky. Helios gave them a tour while the Pokémon explored. Greninja perked up as Sanpei's own Greninja appeared. The two shared a brief, joyful reunion.
We've been helping Red track Ash for a long time now.
Mark wandered into a bright room, eyes lighting up. A Pokémon transfer machine! The trio's Rotom phone buzzed to life, signal restored. Notifications poured in. Dozens of missed calls, messages from worried families. Mark hit call. Mike Masters answered almost immediately.
Mark? Thank goodness you're okay.
Hey, Dad. I need a favor. Can you transfer my new Eevee to me? His name is Ether. Mike nodded. Moments later, the switch was made. Wilfred returned to storage, and Ether reappeared in a burst of light, chirping joyfully. Mark scooped up his shiny Eevee.
Wow, Mark. Ether's a shiny Eevee. He's beautiful.
Mark smiled proudly. Meanwhile, Rachel answered her call. Her mother's voice came through tight with worry.
Rachel, are you okay? We've been calling for days.
I'm okay, Mom. Really. Just got off a crazy island.
Daisy took a deep breath, trying to calm herself.
Well, don't forget your Sweet 16 is coming up in a few days.
I completely forgot.
We're throwing a big party in Lavender Town. Your grandfather, Mr. Stone, will be there.
Rachel's eyes filled with tears.
Grandpa Stone? I haven't seen him since Dad passed.
Rachel then rejoined the group as the storm had passed, but new journeys were just ahead. As laughter and conversation filled the air, one Pokémon stayed silent. In the corner of the ship's viewing deck, Gasper hovered alone. His usual mischievous glow dulled. He whispered to himself, voice low and shaky.
I can't go back to Lavender Town. Not now. Not ever. It took me years to get away from her.
He shivered, and not from the cold. Back on the island, the snowstorm had passed, but the storm and Team Justice hadn't. Levi, Madison, and Drowsy stood on a high ridge, staring out toward the horizon. Their faces were tight with frustration and bruised pride. The sting of defeat still burned. A voice echoed from behind, calm yet commanding.
The boss is displeased.
The trio turned sharply. Their expressions changed from scorn to shock.
Commander N?
You've wasted enough time. The boss wants you back at HQ.
He paused, gaze locked on them like a blade.
We have work to do.
None of them spoke. They simply nodded and followed. Team Justice's mission wasn't over. It was only the beginning. The sky was clear as the fearless Motostoke soared above the clouds, cutting smoothly through the air en route to Lavender Town. Inside the cabin, Mark and Red sat near the observation window, finishing a heavy conversation.
You're sure that's what Looker told you?
Yeah, every sign point to Mu-Z. It's leading something dangerous. Red looked away troubled.
If only I'd gotten those blueprints.
Just then, the door swished open. Rachel strolled in, speaking loudly to herself.
Okay, but how did Mom know we were heading to Lavender Town?
Anthony, standing at the corner, stiffened. His expression was uneasy, and he wasn't the only one. Gasper hovered low, trembling visibly.
Master, seriously, can't we go somewhere else? Anywhere but there.
Gasper, we have to go to Lavender Town. Not just for Rachel's birthday party, but Anthony wants to compete in the Junior Frontier tournament hosted there.
It's bad luck celebrating life in the town of the dead.
I can't wait to see Mom again. And Grandpa. I haven't seen him in so long. And Metagross, too.
A voice chimed in from the hallway. Helios, calm as ever, stepped into view.
The superstition about Lavender Town is just that, a superstition. It's a place of remembrance, not misfortune.
Gasper wasn't convinced. Outside the window, distant purple hills came into view, and the spires of Lavender Town peeked over the horizon. Suddenly, Ether, marked Silver Eevee, began to cry. His soft whimper echoed louder and louder through the cabin.
Can someone turn it off?
What's wrong, buddy? Rachel's Eevee trotted over and nuzzled Ether, but it didn't help. The newborn cried louder. Gasper narrowed his eyes, focusing. He used Psychic and levitated Ether into the air. As Ether hovered gently, his cries slowed and stopped. The little Eevee blinked, then giggled, clearly intrigued. Gasper began rocking him slowly through the air.
He's hungry.
Helios stepped into the room, carrying trays of food for the Pokémon.
Handled like a true caretaker, Gasper.
The Pokémon gathered quickly, digging into the meal.
Approaching Lavender Town. Prepare for descent.
Gasper cringed.
Here comes the cursed town.
Mark turned toward Red, walking beside him as the ship began to descend. Thanks again for the battle, Red. Red nodded.
It was a test.
Test?
The moment I saw you, I knew you were Mike Master's son. I wanted to see for myself what kind of trainer you were.
He gave a faint smirk.
You're on your way, Mark. One day we'll have a real battle, when we're both on even ground.
Mark raised an eyebrow. So, who won? You or my dad? Red chuckled, turning away toward the window.
One day, when you battle your father, you'll know.
The ship lowered towards the outskirts of Lavender Town. As the ship doors opened, Rachel stepped out first and let out a scream of joy. Waiting on the platform were Daisy Oak, Professor Gary Oak, and the legendary retired professor Samuel Oak. But Red froze. Standing beside them was Delia Ketchum. She gasped, eyes locking on him.
Satoshi Radrick Ketchum, is that you?
The atmosphere shifted instantly. Red didn't speak. Couldn't. Delia stormed towards him, eyes burning.
I don't care where you've been all these years, but tell me this. Where are you headed next?
Red hesitated, then quietly replied.
Sinnoh.
To find Ash?
Yes. We have some leads.
Delia turned to Darren. Her expression softened.
I'm coming with you.
Delia? No. This could be dangerous.
I've sat around for far too long. I need to find my Ash and Pikachu.
Helios stepped forward with a respectful nod.
You are welcome aboard.
Kaitlyn Char approved.
Aunt Delia, if anyone could find Ash, it's you. No doubt about it.
Delia looked down at the trio. Rachel, Mark, and Anthony all nodded in support. She gave Mark a warm smile, then climbed aboard the ship. With the mission renewed, the Fallen Flare Blitzers prepared for departure. Mark, Rachel, and Anthony watched as the fearless Motostoke soared into the clouds. Their time with Red and the Fallen Flare Blitzers had ended, but their journey was far from over. The next night, under Lavender Town's pale moonlight, a chill settled across the rooftops. Inside the Oak family guest house, Rachel tossed and turned beneath her blanket, distressed.
Dad! No! Come back!
Suddenly, a voice called gently from the hallway.
Rachel, you okay?
Rachel jolted awake, breathing hard. Anthony stepped into the room. He glanced at the windowsill, where Eevee sat stiffly, staring out into the night.
What's going on with you two? You've both been off since we got here.
Rachel didn't respond. Her expression was distant. Anthony stood beside her, then smiled faintly.
You know, it's after midnight. Technically, you're 16 now.
He reached into his pocket, about to pull something out, when the door creaked open. Daisy appeared, looking visibly shaken.
Sweetheart, were you having one of your night terrors again?
Rachel looked away embarrassed.
You used to have them for months after your father passed. I thought they'd stopped. Get some rest. We've got a big day tomorrow.
Rachel nodded slightly. Daisy and Anthony stepped out into the hallway. Once the door was shut, Anthony glanced at her.
She's been through a lot.
Daisy's eyes welled, her voice quiet.
There's something I've been keeping from her.
She paused, visibly shaken.
I don't know if she's ready, but it's time. She deserves the truth.
The morning sun cast a soft golden glow over Lavender Town. Inside the Oak residence, the house buzzed with excitement. Rachel descended the stairs, Evie trotting beside her. The living room erupted into cheers and warm greetings from friends and family.
Happy birthday, sweetheart! And we have a little surprise.
Rachel turned, curious. The door opened once more. A couple entered, a beautiful woman and a towering man beside her. Behind them stood a shy little girl with a Mimikyu close to her side.
Leok? You came all the way from Alola?
Of course we did. We wouldn't miss your sweet 16 for the world.
Leah turned to her daughter.
You remember Mimi and my husband Colby.
The little girl peeked out from behind Mimikyu, giving a shy wave. Rachel smiled warmly.
Leah and Colby live in Alola now. My granddaughter is one of the Elite Four.
Mark looked up at Colby. The man was incredibly tall, his calm presence almost overwhelming. Anthony was staring too, recognition flickering. Wait, Colby Black? The Charizard researcher? I met you at the Terrific Valley when I was a kid! Colby blinked, then laughed deeply.
You're Mike Master's boy. You used to call me the Giant Man.
That's right! My dad and Professor Elm brought us there. You and Liza showed us around.
Lisa still helps me run the place. I bounce between Johto and Alola now.
He's one of the strongest trainers alive. Not that he brags about it.
I swear I've met you before too.
Maybe we have. Trainers cross paths in strange ways.
A beat of calm passed until Gasper floated down the hall with a dramatic groan.
Can I just stay here today, Master?
Nope, you're coming with us.
This family reunion is cursed.
Later that day, the group made their way through the cobblestone streets of Lavender Town toward the local community center, the venue for Rachel's Sweet 16. Rachel walked beside her mother.
Okay, but seriously, how did you know I'd be in Lavender Town?
Daisy smiled.
Anthony called me right before you left Cinnabar.
He what?
This whole party? It was his idea.
Rachel stood stunned, touched. A soft smile spread across her face. Just ahead, the Pokémon Center doors flew open. Anthony came running out.
I'm in! I registered for the Junior Frontier!
Colby chuckled from the side.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you there. John George asked me to be one of the judges.
Anthony turned to ask a question, but Daisy appeared again, holding a Pokeball.
Before you worry about the stipulation, there's someone who's been eager to see your Dratini.
She released the Pokeball. A Dragonite appeared with a cheerful cry, wings spreading wide. Anthony's eyes lit up instantly. Wait, that's... It was the same Dragonite he met before his journey began, his Dratini's mother. Anthony quickly released Dratini, who chirped with joy and rushed forward into its mother's embrace.
You gotta be kidding me. Charizard is the true lizard of the sky.
Suddenly, a roar echoed from above. A massive Charizard swooped down, landing with a heavy thud, flaring its wings wide. Mark's face lit up in awe. No way! That's him! I remember this Charizard! I met him when I was little! He reached for a Pokeball. Go, Charlie! Charlie appeared beside him, her eyes wide with admiration at the towering Charizard. Gary stepped forward, watching the two fire types.
That Charizard isn't just big. Colby's Charizard is something special.
But before he could elaborate,
All right, party time, people.
Let's move it. Rachel, you've got guests waiting.
they gently ushered the group toward the community center. Balloons, banners, and laughter waited ahead. But Rachel stopped just before the entrance. A cold breeze passed over her. A voice echoed faintly.
Rachel.
She looked up. Lavender Tower loomed in the distance. Evie stiffened beside her, ears twitching. No one else seemed to notice. Gasper hovered nearby, staring at the tower with wide, fearful eyes.
That's a bad place. I'm staying far away from it.
Rachel didn't answer. She just stared, as if something or someone was calling. The doors of the Lavender Town Community Center swung open. Rachel stepped inside, wide-eyed. The space was lit with party lights, bright balloons, and a towering banner that read, "Happy 16th, Rachel." A DJ was already spinning music in the corner, and familiar voices echoed through the room. Rachel blinked in surprise. Old classmates and school friends waved and called her name.
You guys actually came?
But the joyful mood shifted in an instant. Emma strutted in with her smoochum. Igglybuff appeared, and the two rivals gave each other hateful stares.
Third ribbon, won it last week. No big deal.
Rachel frowned, but before she could respond, Chad and Alice entered the room. Chad winked flirtatiously at Rachel and held up 3 ribbons. Anthony's eyes narrowed. Alice trailed behind nervously, holding her case with 2 ribbons.
Flukes, both of you.
Rachel snapped, stepping forward.
Say that again, Emma.
A tense moment passed. Voices rose. It looked like a fight was about to break out. Daisy stepped in quickly.
Rachel, honey, could I speak with you just a moment before the party really starts?
Before Rachel could respond, a new presence filled the room.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
Rachel turned, gasping. An older man stood with a shiny Metagross by his side. She rushed to him, embracing him tightly. Tears welled up in Joseph's eyes as he looked at her face.
You look so much like Steven.
Behind them, Daisy approached. Joseph's expression hardened instantly.
Daisy.
The tension between them was thick. Rachel, confused, looked between them, then noticed a man awkwardly approaching.
Wait, is that Bill? The inventor?
Daisy nodded gently.
Rachel, can we talk?
Oh, let me guess. You haven't told her yet.
Rachel turned, frowning.
Told me what?
That your mother's courting Bill now.
Rachel laughed, waiting for the punchline, until she looked at her mother's face. Then at Bill. Her laughter died. Her eyes filled with tears. Rachel ran out of the room. Rachel! Anthony moved to follow, but Leah gently stopped him.
Let me talk to her.
As Leah stepped out, the room turned ice cold.
You want to know why I stayed away? Because you left Steven in that war.
I begged him to stay. He wanted to fight for Ash, for the future.
Steven chose his path. So did the rest of us.
You can't blame Daisy for his decision.
Samuel Oakes stood between them all, raising his voice firmly.
Enough! This is Rachel's day!
The arguments died down. The room fell into scattered silence as family members drifted to separate corners of the venue.
I told you! Celebrating the living in the land of the dead? Bad idea.
Mark followed Colby into a serene courtyard bathed in golden light. Pokémon from the Oak family lounged and played. Charlie and Colby's towering Charizard stood side by side, letting out mutual low growls of respect. They had clicked instantly.
Well, it seems they're getting along better than most people.
Mark chuckled, but then caught sight of Ether, his shiny newborn Eevee, toddling over to a shiny Umbreon resting. Ether nuzzled around it. Umbreon didn't flinch, it simply watched, calm and patient. Whose Umbreon is that? Isn't it Gary's?
She was my uncle's. He was my hero.
Mark looked at him curious. What happened?
He he didn't make it back from the Pokemon War.
So many didn't. Sometimes I wonder, did Ash make the right decision? Going to war with Giovanni?
He did. Ash knew what Giovanni would have done if left unchecked.
Mark nodded quietly, then looked at Charlie again, who is now mimicking Colby's Charizard stance. He smiled with pride.
Funny thing is, I remember that Charmeleon.
Mark looked over puzzled. Wait, what?
Well, you see, Charlie was born in the Charsic Valley. Her father, well, that was Ash's Charizard.
Mark froze. His eyes went wide. You're joking.
Not a chance. That little fireball you raised, she's part of a legacy. She's the daughter of a legend.
Mark could barely breathe. Charlie, his Charlie, the reason he'd always dreamed of raising a Charmander, was the daughter of Ash's Charizard. It was meant to be.
I believe it. I also believe she's special, like mine.
Ether began crying loudly. Ether, again? Gasper, I need backup! Gasper phased through a tree, grumbling.
Babysitter. That's what I've become. A glorified floating rattle.
With Psychic, Gasper gently levitated Ether and rocked him in the air. The shiny Eevee stopped crying, giggling instead. But suddenly, a dark shadow flickered behind Gasper. A Gengar appeared.
Ah! Fatty! Don't sneak up on me! Go scare some brats or something!
Gengar took the suggestion literally. He floated off and let out a spooky growl near Mimi, who was giggling with her Mimikyu. Mimi shrieked. Mimikyu lashed out, hitting Gengar, who then crashed into Gasper, knocking him over.
I swear I'm going to evaporate myself.
A Banette appeared, hovering near Gasper. It giggled alongside Gengar. The two ghost types began playing catch with Gasper, using Psychic.
Stop! This is harassment! Ghost abuse!
The two kept laughing until Gasper yelled.
Why don't you two talk like me, huh? Use your powers! Speak!
There was a pause, then a twitch of realization.
Wait, we can do that?
Whoa! This is awesome!
Thank me later, or never. Now listen, we shouldn't be here. She's still out there.
Oh, we know what you fear, Gasper. But she hasn't made her move.
We're hoping she does. This party's been pretty dull without her.
You're both crazy. She's dangerous.
I better find Leah. I don't like to be apart from her for long.
Hey, wait. If I promise to pay you, will you protect me?
Ghost Pokemon don't have wallets.
But for teaching us to speak, we'll help you, Scaredy Cloud.
They laughed.
I regret everything. Oh.
Rachel and Leah strolled quietly along a path.
How could she move on so fast?
It's been 3 years, Rachel. Your mom's been alone a long time. You're off on this adventure now. And Daisy? She's lonely. You know she gave up everything when she was just a teen. When her parents died, she raised Gary while helping Grandpa. And she had you young.
Rachel looked at her with surprise.
She was barely an adult herself, and Steven, well, he had his duties. She held this whole family together.
I know she's strong. She always has been, but it just hurts.
You're allowed to hurt, but maybe now it's time we're all strong for her. She's carried enough weight for too long.
Rachel sighed, her gaze turning distant.
Lately, I've been dreaming of my dad. I see myself running through the Pokémon War, trying to reach him, but I never can. No matter how close I get, he's just gone.
She glanced down at her Eevee, who was quiet, ears slightly lowered.
And Eevee's been strange too. Ever since she came to me. I got her on what would have been Dad's 40th birthday. I never thought much of it before, but now...
Sometimes when the darkness feels overwhelming, the light shows up to guide us, like a little gift.
As if on cue, Leah's Espeon gracefully padded over, nuzzling Eevee gently. Eevee's tense body relaxed, and a small smile returned to her face. Suddenly, another figure emerged from the shadows. a mysterious Umbreon. This was in fact Gary Oak's Umbreon. The two evolutions of light and shadow stood beside each other. Rachel looked up at Leah, eyes tearful again, but this time from something other than grief.
Maybe you're right.
Anthony followed Gary and Samuel Oak out into the courtyard. They were telling him the upcoming Lavender Junior Frontier Tournament is a regular battle tournament, but normal types only. Anthony groaned as he only had one normal type, his Fearow. That meant he could only use one Pokemon throughout the entire tournament. The last time he was limited to one Pokemon, it was his first ever tournament in Viridian City, which he lost. His anxiety hit the roof. Samuel explained that the Lavender Town Tournament stipulation of using normal types is because Normal and Ghost are counterparts, and many Ghost-type Pokemon come to watch. It's the living's tribute to the dead. Still, Anthony wasn't sure what he could do. He thought about asking Rachel and Mark if he could borrow their normal types. He then spotted Darius ahead.
I wouldn't borrow that normal type even if my life depended on it,
he said in a low, sour voice. As they walked, Samuel felt a sudden chill down his spine. He heard a whisper. Gary asked what was wrong, but Samuel shook it off. They continued on until they reached Mark and Colby, who were mid-conversation. Mark had just finished recounting his battle with Red, eyes wide with awe as he described the intensity.
Oh wow, that's quite the encounter. Red's a legend.
You're one to talk. Back in the day, your battles were the stuff of a legend.
Still are.
He turned to Mark and Anthony.
What do you boys say about some inspiration? A one-on-one match between two vets?
Gary's eyes lit up.
You serious? It's been years.
Alright, let's give him a show, just like old times, okay?
Gary nodded.
You're on.
The two researchers got into position, ready to rekindle an old rivalry.
This is a one-on-one battle. No substitutions. Let the strength of your bond decide the outcome.
Mark stood next to Anthony. This is gonna be wild.
Reggie Drago, time to rumble.
Let's burn bright, Charizard.
Start big, Dragon Energy.
Charizard, flamethrower, full blast.
No way! That wasn't just blocking it. Charizard pushed back Dragon Energy.
Now, Metal Throw.
Thunderfang, close range.
What's happening? That looks like the bond Ash had with Greninja. Is this the bond phenomenon?
Draco Meteor!
That's it, Charizard. Push through. Dragon Claw. Keep going, buddy.
Protect.
Metal Throw. Break it down.
Thunderfang.
Did that attack just hurt Colby too? It's because Colby and Charizard are connected. They feel each other's pain.
Reggie Drago, Thunderfang again.
Alright, let's wrap this up. Blazing Tail.
Reggie Drago is unable to battle. The winner is Colby Black and Charizard.
The battle had ended. Colby's Charizard exhaled heavily as it shimmered, the steel coating of its bond phenomenon form melting away in a faint flash of light, returning to its usual form. Mark and Charlie stared in awe, both speechless. He really did it. Charizard just took down a legendary.
I've only seen a bond like that once before. Ash and his Greninja. But this is different. More intense. Painful, yet beautiful.
Gary walked up to Colby, smirking.
That Charizard's no ordinary partner. You both earned that win.
Mark stepped forward, eyes wide. How did you and your Charizard learn to do that? Colby smiled, gently patting Charizard.
This form is extremely rare, even more so than a typical bomb phenomenon. My Charizard belongs to a unique family line capable of this transformation. Long before Pokemon and people shared their lives, this lineage of Charizard had this phenomenon not with people, but with the Earth itself. This specific group of Charizard played a vital role in maintaining the ecosystem, unrivaled by any other Pokemon at the time. My Charizard is actually the founding member of this ancient lineage. You see, I learned of this form when I was traveling throughout the Kalos region for the first time. Ever since then, I've been documenting everything I've learned in a book, deep diving into the origin and nature of this rare phenomenon. If you'd like, I can do some research on Charlie to see if she's capable of this form as well, though there is no way to currently tell based off appearance alone.
Suddenly, Samuel Oak flinched. A cold breeze swept past him. Despite the still air, he froze, eyes hollow. The whisper was faint, just a breath on the wind, but his face went pale.
Gramps? What's wrong?
But before Samuel could answer, Gasper let out a high-pitched shriek.
She's here! She's here! She's here!
Banette and Gengar darted in front of him defensively, scanning the shadows. Without warning, hundreds of ghost Pokemon burst from the misty edge of the town, flooding the courtyard in a chaotic swarm. Mimi cried out, clutching Mimikyu as the ghosts closed in, but the little Pokemon stood firm, swatting away the spirits with fierce determination. Colby ran to protect him.
Mimi, stay with Mimikyu!
An eerie light spiraled above. A powerful blast struck Gasper, Banette, and Gengar, throwing them backward. With a burst of smoke, all three vanished. Gasper! Mark lunged forward. Then, another blast came. This one hit Samuel Oak directly. Gary yelled as the retired professor disappeared into the mist. Rachel and Leah burst through the doors, Espeon at their side. But Eevee suddenly broke from Rachel's feet, darting towards the street. Rachel chased after her partner in panic. Rachel, wait! Anthony ran after her with Dratini and Growlithe close behind. Mark didn't hesitate. He called Charlie and Ether to him and sprinted after them. In the courtyard, Daisy, Bill, and Joseph Stone emerged and jumped into action. Emma and the other teen trainers quickly followed suit, calling on their Pokemon to defend the party guests.
Daisy, we'll go after them.
Please protect Mimi.
Daisy nodded firmly, shielding Mimi as the shadows grew deeper. Although, Mimikyu was taking out any threat that came near. Colby, Leah, Charizard, Espeon, and the shiny Umbreon sprinted into the fog-covered street. Mark and Anthony spotted Rachel and Eevee standing still, just outside the gates of Lavender Town. Why are we here? Please don't say she's thinking of going in. Rachel didn't say a word, her eyes locked on the looming cursed tower. Eevee stood beside her, eerily still. Finally, she whispered.
My great-grandpa. He's in there.
Mark's eyes widened. Gasper might be too. Rachel started walking. Mark and Anthony exchanged horrified glances. Nope! Anthony stood back. You go first! No way! Mark retorted. You're older! They both gulped and followed. To their surprise, the entrance was peaceful. Clean, dimly lit, almost respectful. Gravestones lined the room in neat rows.
Many of these war memorials, Pokemon lost during the Pokemon War.
Suddenly, a long rumble. Mark and Rachel turned around. Sorry, that was me. I ate that weird cheese. Before anyone could tease him, a sudden bang appeared from the upstairs. Their Pokemon tensed. The group pushed forward. The next room was much darker. A bitter chill filled the air. The doors slammed shut behind them. Anthony rushed back. It's locked!
Hide!
They ducked behind large gravestone, trying to stay silent. The flicker of Charlie's tail gave them away. Anthony hissed. Her flame's growing too bright! Mark whispered. It's what keeps her alive, genius!
Shut up!
Ghost Pokemon floated into the room, searching, slowly drifting like shadows. Just as they turned to leave, a massive fart rang through the tower. Everyone froze. Anthony? Anthony turned red. I panicked! A terrible roar shook the walls. From the darkness, a giant ghost creature emerged. All three screamed. Charlie, Ether, Dratini, Growlithe, and Eevee leapt up to protect their trainers. Then, a wall burst open. Flames shot forward. Colby and Leah charged in, their Pokemon at their side.
What the heck is that?
Is that even a Pokemon?
The ghost beast hovered with fury. But then, Eevee stepped forward, growling with new courage. Eevee opened her mouth. Shadow Ball! The purple sphere blasted towards the ghost, but spectral minions shielded their master. They retaliated with powerful attacks. Rachel caught her just in time, tumbling backward. They crashed into the back wall. A hidden trapdoor clicked open. Rachel and Eevee fell through. Rachel! Anthony lunged too late. The trapdoor snapped shut. Then, the giant ghost creature grabbed Mark in a sudden swoop. Mark! Charlie and Ether chased after their trainer, but the ghost soared up, vanishing into the tower's higher floors. Leah turned to Colby.
Go after Mark. We'll stay here and deal with these ghost Pokemon.
Colby gave a sharp nod. Charizard soared up after the ghost, while Leah and Anthony prepared to battle the rising swarm of ghost Pokemon below. Colby burst through the crumbling doorway. At the far end, the twisted ghost creature dragged Mark toward a dark altar. Near it, Samuel Oak, Gasper, Banette, and Gengar floated unconscious, suspended in a ghostly aura.
Charizard! Charlie! Flamethrower!
Twin jets of fire exploded across the chamber, blasting the creature midair. It shrieked and dropped Mark, who hit the ground hard. Colby ran to him, helping him up. Suddenly, Master! Gasper screeched, snapping awake. Banette and Gengar stirred as well, groggy but alert. They looked around, then glared. Together, the ghost trio unleashed a burst of psychic energy, shattering the ghostly grip that held them. The ghost creature let out a piercing, witch-like laugh that echoed like 1,000 screams.
Oh, Gasper! You came back! I miss you so much!
Gasper's eyes narrowed.
No!
The creature froze midair, gasping like it had been slapped.
What? You've changed!
It began to morph, twisting, reforming, until the spirit of Agatha, former Elite Four, hovered before them. Colby took a slow step back.
Agatha? But you died years ago.
Agatha grinned with venom.
My soul was drawn here to nurture ghost types, to give them purpose.
No! You've been using them to torment the living, to get revenge!
Colby's eyes darted towards the unconscious Samuel. He remembered the story. When Sam and Agatha were young, they were sweethearts, but he fell for another, Leah's grandmother. Agatha never forgave him. Agatha's voice trembled with pain.
He broke me! He took my heart, crushed it, and threw it away!
Her voice twisted to rage.
He'll pay, and so will his bloodline.
Mark stood tall. Where's Rachel? Agatha floated higher.
She'll meet her fate soon.
And Gasper, it's time you faced your punishment.
A deep rumble. The shadows gathered. From the floor rose a hulking figure.
The strongest Gengar of all. My shiny Gengar.
The shiny Gengar floated forward, smiling smugly. There was silence. Then...
That's a shiny Gengar? Looks like it missed a tanning session.
Maybe it got left in the shadow realm for too long.
Strongest Gengar? More like most basic.
What was Game Freak thinking?
The shiny Gengar attacked, unleashing a Shadow Ball barrage. Ghost types erupted from the walls, spiraling toward them. Mark and Colby stood back to back. The battle exploded into chaos. Rachel and Evie found themselves in some kind of dark chamber.
Where are we?
Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the chamber. From the shadows, a large Miss Magius appeared. Miss Magius used mystical fire. Evie leapt in front of Rachel and used a massive shadow ball. It collided into the fire and overpowered, blasting into the ghost type. It fell back into the shadows.
You fought well, Princess.
Rachel gasped, slowly turning toward the voice. A soft white light formed in the center of the room. A tall, ethereal figure stepped forward.
Dad?
It was the ghost of Stephen Stone. Not monstrous or decayed, but glowing gently, like a memory preserved in time.
You've grown so strong.
Rachel was frozen, tears brimming in her eyes. Evie beamed with joy. Although she had never met Stephen, she knew exactly who he was. He was who she was looking for.
I tried. I've missed you so much.
Colby and Mark stood back to back, surrounded by ghost types. Ether cried out behind them. At the center, the shiny Gengar and Gasper clashed, but the Gengar struck with Shadow Claw.
Oh, Gasper, you were never one for battles. Always hiding behind your little tricks and illusions. You don't belong with them.
Maybe I was scared, but I'm not running anymore.
Gasper was struck down by Psychic, slamming to the ground. Mark and Ether cried after him. Is that?
He's evolving.
The glow fades to reveal a newly evolved Haunter floating in midair, now larger, more confident, but visibly confused.
What the? I have hands, but no arms. What am I, Rayman?
But the moment broke as Ether cried out, trapped under ghost types. Gasper turned, eyes fierce.
Don't touch my baby!
Gasper dived in front of Ether, eyes glowing. He unleashed a dark pulse that rippled across the room, striking shiny Gengar square in the face. The corrupted Pokémon was blown backward. With rage, Agatha transformed back into the ghostly beast. The tower trembled again as more ghost Pokémon manifested. They began to swarm Colby's Charizard, who staggered, still tired from the previous battle with Regidrago. It managed to dodge 3 incoming confusions, but the numbers were too great. Hypnosis struck, and Charizard crashed, falling into a slumber. Umbreon sprang into action and protected Charizard. Mark called out for help as Haunter, Gengar, and Banette were slammed by a wave of Shadow Balls, knocked back, groaning. The evil ghosts began to close in from all sides. Back in the chamber, Rachel stood still, tears in her eyes, staring at the glowing figure of her father.
Is it really you?
She ran to him, but passed through.
I miss you so much. It hurt. not having you there for my 16th birthday. It hurts every day you're not here.
Rachel, I have never left. I've always been with you. From the moment you lost me, to the moment you chose to take your first step into the world. Through every ribbon earned, every fear conquered, I've been there. I'm proud of you.
But I'm not strong like you. And Mom's dating again. It's like she's trying to move on and I'm still stuck.
Your mother has carried more than her share of burdens. She gave up her youth, her dreams, to raise you and Gary. She loved me fiercely, and losing me almost broke her. But she stayed strong, for you. Rachel, she cannot be truly happy unless you are happy.
Rachel listened, the weight of his words sinking in.
It's time. Time for Daisy to be happy again. And it's time for you to live, not in the past, but with the love I left behind.
What's next for me?
Tonight is your birthday, after all, and I have one last gift for you both.
Stephen floated toward Evie, who stared up at him. A shimmering blue stone emerged from Stephen's chest, pulsing like a soul.
I gift you, Evie, my soul stone. With it, a piece of me will always live within you, which means I will always be a part of my daughter, in this life and the next.
Standing in the center was no longer Evie, but a new form, elegant, glowing faintly with light blue wisp-like fur, flowing gently around it, almost like flickering fire. Rachel stood in shock. Her Pokédex buzzed, then failed to scan.
Species not recognized. No data available.
You're not in the Pokédex?
The Pokémon let out a soft melodic cry.
Wispion!
Wispion. Is that your name?
Wispion!
Well then, that's what I'll call you. Congratulations, Wispion! After all this time, you rejected every evolutionary stone. You were waiting for Dad's soul stone.
Behind her, Stephen Stone's ghostly form watched silently. Rachel looked up, face lit with awe.
You really gave me the greatest gift.
Stephen slowly reached forward and placed a ghostly hand on her cheek.
I can feel you.
I love you, Princess. I always have. I always will. Keep your friends close and follow your dreams. I'll be watching every step you take. Now go. They need you. You're stronger than you know.
Thank you, Dad. I'll make you proud.
Stephen's spirit smiled as he faded into wisps of light, merging into Wispion's glow.
Follow the light.
Mark, Charlie, Ether, and Gasper were cornered. Agatha's ghost army closed in. Charizard remained asleep, protected only by Colby and his Umbreon, who were both clearly overwhelmed. Blinding waves of light flooded into the room, slicing through the ghost horde. Ghost Pokémon screeched as they vanished into mist. From the shadows, a silhouette emerged. Rachel and Wispion. Rachel! Is that? Anthony and Leah stormed into the battle with shocked faces. Who's that Pokémon?
It's her Eevee. She evolved!
Wispion fired a shadow ball, exploding through a pack of ghosts. Then, she launched her unique radiant form. Charizard finally woke up, unleashing a massive flamethrower across the ghost ranks. Umbreon and Espeon rallied beside Wispion. The three evolutions stood together. They launched synchronized attacks, clearing the room. the ghost army screeched and vanished, leaving only one behind. Agatha floated alone now, trembling.
You insolent little!
This one's mine.
Jasper fired a massive dark pulse, blasting the spirit of Agatha out of the tower. She was casted into the night sky. Samuel fell from the paranormal grip and was caught by Charizard. The old man woke up as Leah and Rachel ran to his side.
Tell me that witch is gone.
She's history. Samuel's eyes landed on Wispion.
What in Arceus' name is that?
Everyone stared in awe. A beat of silence.
You're a true oak, Rachel, my sweet. Making a discovery of your own.
The group exited the tower to meet the sunrise, where anxious family members awaited. Mimi ran straight into Leah and Colby. Gary hurried to his grandfather's side. Rachel scanned the street, then saw them. Daisy, Joseph, and Metagross. And, floating in front of them, was the ghost of Stephen Stone. Rachel gasped. Daisy and Joseph's eyes welled up. Stephen gave one final nod, smiling warmly, and faded peacefully into light. Rachel ran to her family.
Mom, I'm so sorry.
She looked to Bill, just approaching.
I'm glad you found someone, Mom. You both deserve happiness.
No, I'm the one who should apologize. I've treated you unfairly all these years, Daisy. I let grief harden me.
It's time we let it go. For Stephen, and for our princess.
The group formed a loose circle. Samuel, Gary, and Bill all surrounded Wispion, totally enthralled. A true evolutionary miracle.
The Wicked Witch is gone! And I believe someone said this was meant to be a party.
Jasper, it's morning!
Come on, Master. Don't be a lightweight. You know it's good luck to celebrate life in the town of the dead.
Anthony stopped Rachel as the others walked on, and she looked at him with a warm smile.
I guess I have you to thank for all of this. You were the reason we came to Lavender Town, and I got to see my father one last time. To say goodbye.
Rachel, I have a birthday present for you. He handed Rachel a little rustic statue, shaped like an Eevee. This was made from volcanic stone, from Cinnabar Island. Scorcha and Blaine helped me carve it for you. I know it isn't much.
Anthony, it's everything.
Rachel kissed Anthony on his cheek, leaving him blushing.
I'm so grateful I found you.
Anthony cleared his throat. Come on, let's go and get a celebratory breakfast. Laughter broke out from the group. Lavender Town no longer felt cold, and Rachel Oak Stone found her closure.